I didn't plan this, I swear. Hey, what's up, witches? I'm undertaking a very special project in the coming week. I wanted to include you on it so that I can share with you, as always, my experience and my personal practice, especially when it comes to Norse paganism and working with Freya. So I'm here at Freya's altar because winter is finally drawing to a close soon. Hopefully, I for one am extremely thrilled that we are kind of past the hump of it, like the hump point of midwinter, the longest night, and now, especially with coming into like Imbolc season, if you're one who follows more of the Wiccan or Celtic pagan calendar wheel of the year, there are a lot of folk festivals and celebrations happening all over the world and in parts of Europe right now to say goodbye to winter and welcome in the spring and hail the rebirth at last of the sun and the return of warmth and life to the world again. And I am super stoked about it, especially because for me, as someone that does work really closely with Freya and the Vanir and just likes being outside and enjoys spending time in nature and with plants and plant spirits, I think that definitely contributes to part of the whole like seasonal depression thing for me and just feeling like very down in the doldrums and the weather's all gloomy and it's cold and all of the plants and trees are dead. And for that reason, it's just really hard for me to feel connected to these like more fertility god and goddess type of deities and archetypes like Freya and Freyr, who I definitely associate very closely with elements of nature and plant life and like that kind of growth and fertility, as well as being a goddess of love. So, yeah, I think just for that reason, and just with me feeling like the spiritual burnout that I talked about in my video on like burnout versus balance, has just led to me feeling overall very disconnected from my practice and my gods and from Freya in particular. I just feel like her energy is not as present and as palpable in the winter months and the more dormant months, and that's when like the wild hunt is out and about. Odin is kind of at the forefront, and like those types of energies and beings are just more out and about in the world and easier to sense and kind of get a hold of and interact with, at least in my experience so far. What I want to do, especially with it being like Imbolc and celebrating the return of all those energies, I want to beckon in and welcome back in all of the Vanir vibes that I am so fond of working with. And as part of that, I really want to get back into my own personal practice, reestablish a personal practice and relationship with and connection with Freya in particular. So, what I'm going to try to do and hold myself to for the next 7 days is to do 7 days of devotions to Freya. And these aren't going to be like big elaborate rituals or anything except for at the very end of the week, and I'll touch on that in a minute. But it's just going to be very like small, easy, low energy, but like very meaningful and fulfilling activities for me to just help me to spend some more time with Freya and her energy and just reconnect with her a bit, spend some more personal time in devotion to her that I've just really been slacking on lately. Today, that's just going to be giving her altar a nice clean and refresh because I don't really change up or change in and out the things that I have on my altar per se, but it's always nice to just clear it off, dust it off, clean everything, and just start fresh. So I figured that would be the perfect way to kick off this 7 days of Freya and Freya devotionals and just acts of devotion and worship to Freya as my patroness, what better way to start with just a clean slate and a little cleanse and refresh of her altar. And then throughout the week, I will come back and touch base with you again throughout the coming days. Because I have, like I said, just some very easy, low stress activities that I have kind of planned to just try to tackle one thing every day for the next 7 days to reestablish and strengthen my bond with Freya. And then at the very end of the 7 days, I'm planning on bringing her statue down closer to the fireplace where it's a little bit more accessible than in this little corner where she's kind of tucked away most of the time. And I was inspired by the Hindu practices and their deity worship, where having an idol of your chosen deity is very important and plays an important role in day-to-day devotions and offerings and worship, because you'll often see things like the Ganesha statue being, or deity statues. Really? Can we maybe not have bitey fighty wrestling time while I'm right in the middle of trying to talk about Freya? Like, I know it's a Freya video, so there have to be cats, but can we not fight and argue in the background of the whole video, maybe? Like I was saying, at the end of the 7 days, I'm going to try to execute a more elaborate offering and devotional ritual to Freya in the style of a puja that you will see in Hindu practices, which just involve paying a lot of attention to the image of the deity. In this case, it will be my Freya statue. As you can see, I have already anointed her in one of the other devotional rituals that I did months and months ago that was also inspired by this, where I took some gold leaf that I had and actually anointed her statue with it, and I really love the way it looks, so I'm just gonna leave it there. But you will often see things like this where the statue will be worshipped and adorned with oils, flowers, jewelry, garlands, even clothing and robes sometimes. It's treated as the actual deity and a person, because it's definitely believed that by viewing these images, they are also viewing you, and it's just kind of this mutual equivalent exchange of energy and blessings, which I definitely resonated a lot with when I was studying Hinduism. And so I've carried a lot of those practices now into my Norse paganism, because we don't know a lot about the day-to-day rituals and offerings and deity worship and what that would have looked like. So for me, it's just kind of cool to have this modern day pantheistic, polytheistic religion that is still being practiced, and to see how they do that, how they worship these modern day gods and goddesses and archetypes. Yeah, I really drew a lot of inspiration from that, and at the end of the 7 days, I'm going to try to bring Freya's statue down and just give her all of the good things in life that she deserves, and just heap blessings and offerings upon her, and just give her all the things, flowers, incense, music, and just, heap all of these things upon her as the kind of culmination of the 7 days of Freya devotions. So I hope that you will join me on this journey, because like I said, I'm just really excited to share my experiences with you, and to just be able to kind of document and use this, as always, as my little journal, so that I can keep track of the things that I do and how my practice evolves and the things that I try and the experiences and insight and wisdom that I gain from it. With that being said, this is day 1. It's Friday, February 2nd. The groundhog has declared that spring is coming early this year, which is just a very pagan thing in and of itself, which we won't delve into here. Since it's Freya's day, it's Friday, and it's the time of Imbolc and the rebirth of all of the energies that she represents to me. I'm going to start off by giving her altar a nice little cleanse, refresh it a little bit. So welcome in the new energies for her, as we do for the Wheel of the Year. So I did also pick up a couple things while we were out and about running kitten errands. That kind of derailed some of my planned devotions for Freya, like Monday and Tuesday, because, yeah, I was just busy scrambling around and waiting and trying to hear back on if we were actually gonna be able to adopt this kitten or not. Yeah, Loki. So yeah, Monday and Tuesday were both kind of devoted to cat adoption procedures and bringing her home and getting her settled in. But then, yeah, while we were out, I did also, one thing that I had planned to do during my 7 days of devotions was just get her some more offerings. So I did things like the flowers, and then also picked up a couple new incense for her. I like to give her primarily amber because of its association with her, or sandalwood incense, just because I personally really like that. And I'm a big proponent of just sharing with the gods whatever things you yourself particularly enjoy or that hold value to you, because by sharing that or giving it up to them, it's like a greater sacrifice. I picked out a couple incense just that I thought smelled good. That's usually what I go by more than anything. So I got some Celestial Bliss, because that kind of also reminds me of Freya. I consider her to be like the celestial or atmospheric deity along with her earthly archetypal elements. And then I also picked up Divine Blessings because it had this angel with these two children on it. It was the last one. I liked the way it smelled, and the angel and images of female winged angels in particular remind me of Freya, and I associate with her a lot, but I'll get into that in some future videos. But I often wonder if these like modern day depictions of angels, instead of like the biblically accurate angels as these beautiful winged women, is a carryover from like goddesses and Valkyrie imagery. But yeah, that's another video. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you the couple things that I picked up for her, because incense is definitely one of my main offerings that I like to give. And I was running low on some of my little stash of things down here, which are like the Freya incense. So I just picked up those to stock up on some more like specific Freya flavors. And then the other thing that I am going to plan to do today at some point while I'm still home from work is to make her a clove orange, because I just have this orange that I never ate and it's just been sitting around in my kitchen forever, but it hasn't gone bad yet. And so rather than throw it away, I'm going to stuff it with cloves in a fun, pretty pattern or design maybe, and just leave that here as a fun little scented offering to her. The smell of clove orange is also one of my favorite things, so I think she will enjoy that. And I associate citrus fruits with her as like a sun goddess type thing. So this is Bella. She's the new addition to our household and the little surprise that I've been alluding to all week in my other Freya videos that I've been working on. And like I said, I did not plan this, I swear. I'd already determined that I was going to do the 7 days of Freya devotionals and had done, you know, the Friday video where I cleaned her altar up and everything. And then Saturday we were out running errands and we're at the hardware store of all places, and they were having a weekend adoption event out there. I didn't even know what was going on. Like, we were just there looking for things and I didn't even notice that they had cats there at first. And it wasn't until we were walking up to the registers to pay for our stuff and leave that I finally noticed they had some cats there in little rollaway cages. And as we were walking past, I locked eyes with this beautiful baby girl who was standing right at the front of her cage. And she just seemed so pretty and lively and friendly. And her little info card on the front of her cage even made specific mention that she was good with other cats. cats, and she had a brother in there with her too. And just immediately I was enamored with her and drawn to her. We paid for our stuff and left, and then like sat in the car, and I had to go back into the store because the adoption event was already ending and they were already packing up their things, so I couldn't really ask a whole lot about her that day. But I'm like, I can't just leave without asking where she is or where we could find out more info about her, because she was just like too cute. So I don't know, I just instantly knew that she was the kitten that we had been looking for. It's been a couple years now since our older girl Alice passed away, and I, for one, have definitely been missing that feminine energy in the house. It's just my husband and our 3 boy cats right now. And I love my boys, don't get me wrong. I love my 3 kitty boys, and we have a really good balance going on in the house, and everyone gets along pretty well. But we just missed having a little girl cat. And I know my husband did too, because him and Alice were always really close. So I went back in and we just asked like when we could see her again, and found out that she would be at the local pet store throughout this week for people to see. I had actually ended up texting a picture of her to my sister, who lives a couple doors down from me, just to say like, hey, thinking about getting another cat, and here she is. She lives with my aunt, who's also a cat lady like me. She originally moved up here with like 5 cats and is down to 2 now. So I texted her the picture just to say like, hey, here's this cat I'm thinking about getting, and oh, by the way, that's her brother in the background, just saying. And my aunt immediately called me and was like, where is this cat? Where can we see them? Because she's been wanting to adopt another kitten to play with her older boy cat too. And her Bella's brother, Bowie, was like the spinning image of her current cat, Buster. So we went down together to the pet store on Monday and immediately filled out the applications as soon as they were available. And then I kept my fingers crossed all of that day. I didn't know how soon we were gonna hear back, or if there's even gonna be a thing at all. But yeah, I feel like since I was the one that decided I wanted to do 7 days of Freya devotionals, she said, all right, put your money where your mouth is. You've been wanting a little girl cat, and you're gonna do something for me this week, so here she is. Here's your perfect little girl cat. And sure enough, yesterday, Tuesday, luckily I happened to have a couple days off this week already, so it really is just like purely providential how this little girl came into our lives. I'd already had a couple days off of work just to have a nice little relaxing staycation and have a little break. I'd already been launching into this 7 days of Freya devotionals, and then this little girl just literally magically came into our lives at just the right time, and she's just the right one. She's just got the sweetest personality. I think she must have been at a foster home for some point in her life up until now. She's only 6 months, but she just loves people. As soon as I come into this room, she wants to be near you, on you, get pets, cuddles, and she's definitely been very intrigued by the boys as well. They're not quite sure what to make of her yet, but she's just super friendly and wants to run right up to them and say hello. So I think she's just gonna fit in really well here. Her floofiness reminds us of Alice, and I think she's got a little Maine Coon in her like Kirby as well, especially with the long fur coming out of her ears, the fluffy tail, and then she also has the little fur between her toes that Maine Coons have. And Maine Coons just have like this really laid back, friendly disposition like this. So I definitely think she's got some Maine Coon in her. And then she's just got this cute brindle tabby marking that is a little bit reflective of our boy Loki's coat. So I'm hoping that they're really gonna get along well, and that, yeah, she'll be able to play with them. And we just seem to be in this pattern in our lives where I get another cat about every 5 years or so. Kirby was 5 when we got Alice. Alice was 5 when we got Merlin. He was about 5 when we got the boys. And now Loki and Thor are about 5. So they've matured a little bit. You know, they're kind of got their rambunctious kitten energy out for the most part, and they're starting to settle down. So it's time. It's just felt like the right time, the right kitten. She loves making biscuits. We haven't quite settled on a permanent name yet, so we're just going by Bella or Sweet Baby Girl for now. Freya definitely put her into our lives and dropped her into my lap at just the right time. We'd been wanting to get another girl cat since we were missing having Alice around, but it was one of those things where I'm like, I'm not really gonna go out of my way to look for one. When it's time, one will just find us. And sure enough, she did. So what a perfect way to honor and worship Freya. I'd already had on my list of like things to do for her, to have a day that was just devoted to the cats, caring for the cats, spending time with cats, doing things for them. And this, I think, just really took that to the max, showing love for Freya and honoring Freya by choosing to adopt a new kitten and bring her into our home where we can pamper her and spoil her for the rest of her life. And I can't wait to do that. We're not quite settled on Bella. It reminds me too much of Twilight. But we haven't quite found the right name that sticks and suits her. Alright, so full disclosure, it's Saturday and I didn't get around to doing the Freya, like I'm calling it like Freya Fire devotional last night like I'd planned. First off, I didn't end up having enough time to stop by the grocery store on my lunch break after having to run across town to the pet store first. So I had to make sure I was like back home in time on my work from home day. And I had planned on just picking up like some berries or something to also offer to her because that's just one of the things that I really like to give her. So I didn't have time to do that. I was originally going to try to just kind of like improvise. I always like to say that, you know, witchcraft and spell work and things like that are built out of necessity, and so we don't always have to have all the like bells and whistles and planned out, thought out rituals and things like that. So I was gonna try to like improvise and just offer like whatever things I could find around the house. You know, I like have some honey and some cakes and some things like that I could give. So I was really conflicted last night on whether or not I wanted to just like improvise and use whatever I could find on hand and just be practical about it. But then at the same time, it was like I'm also trying to do at least like one big planned out ritual offering to her. Basically, I just wanted to sit down and be upfront and like real about the real situation behind making this video, which is that life got in the way as it always did. I'm trying not to beat myself up about it while simultaneously chastising myself for being a lazy pagan and like, oh, you couldn't even muster up the energy and wherewithal to do one little thing each day for 7 days. But yeah, like I said, life gets in the way, life goes on top of, you know, adopting the kitten and just having that thrown into the works and pretty much having my every waking moment devoted to her and her well-being. I also haven't really been good about admitting this even to myself, let alone out loud or to others, but I really have been struggling with basically what I can only describe as chronic fatigue for a while. Like it was, I was noticing it before the plague-demic and everything that happened, but now the whole like long COVID and things like that, I feel like that definitely exacerbated it and made it worse because I just don't have as much stamina as I used to. I get out of breath and tired really easily. Some days I'll be able to like go run errands or film videos or like do chores around the house and be fine, and I'll have like really high energy days, and then I'll have just like slumps and like really low energy cycles where just one trip to the store or doing a load of dishes or laundry will just absolutely drain me and take it out of me, and I won't really have a lot of energy left to do much of anything else, which I also have to try hard not to beat myself up for and just think of myself as being lazy, because that's really hard. You know, I was raised in that mentality of like, idle hands are the devil's work, and you can always be doing something productive, and that, you know, I should at least have like a clean house and things like that. And I thought that when I started working from home, I was going to have a lot more time and energy to keep up on things like that, and that just hasn't really been the case. So yeah, I just wanted to depict the reality of the situation, which is that no, I didn't do one thing every day for 7 days, but I did do like big things and a lot of the little things that I had planned. And that was my goal with this, was to not overexert myself and feel like I had to be doing the most every day. I did try to pick things that were deliberately small and low energy. So last night after I got off work and was able to like log off the computer for the day, I did sit down and make the clove orange, which was just like really nice and relaxing to focus on for a little bit. So I did that. But this little kitten girl, she's definitely a little bit clingy, let me tell you. She always just like wants to be in the room where we are and like know where we're at and be near us. Last night was the first night that we let her not stay in this spare bedroom or like the kitten room overnight by herself, and she slept in the bed with us like pretty much all night. So she's settling in really well, which is good. She's been out and about exploring the house. The boys are a little bit standoffish still, especially Thor, because he's very jealous and territorial. And this is Loki and Thor's first, like, new kitten that they've experienced in their lifetimes. Merlin's kind of old hat at this point. He has 0 fucks left to give, so he's, like, the most curious and easygoing around her so far. But, yeah, it's gonna take some time. But for her not even being here a week, they're adapting to her surprisingly well. And she's settling in very well, making herself at home, getting used to the whole house now, so that's going really well. I'm really glad that Freya put her into our lives at just the right moment when we did have all this extra time to set aside to caring for her and making sure that she's comfortable and settling in. So I definitely, even though that was not something planned on my list of 7 days of Freya things, I did, like I said, have on there to like do something specific for the cats, like my cats. So that was just definitely like going above and beyond as far as I'm concerned, is bringing this whole new cat into our household and giving her a loving forever home. So it's just really been a joy and a nice pick-me-up to help welcome in some new energy to the house as we welcome in like the new energy of spring and everything. So yeah, today's Saturday. I'm gonna go to the grocery store today now that I have some free time, and I feel like the gods don't always adhere to our like mortal schedules and sense of time and linear time as we know it. So I'm gonna cut myself a little bit of slack. I still did most of the things, if not all of the things that I had on my list. Even if I didn't do one every day for 7 days in a row, I've still been pretty consistent about at least trying to execute all of the little things that I had on my list. And so today, Saturday, we will try to conclude this evening with the Freya Fire devotional finally. And I'm going to bring her down and just give all of these offerings all at once. Because with the pudras that you will see to the statues of the deities, you present light, sound, foods, smells, just like everything to enhance and delight all of the senses and all of the things that like we get to experience here on earth in our physical forms. And you just hold it up before the image of the deity so that they can see it and like experience it. So yeah, I'm really excited to do that for her still. So it's still going to happen, just not as scheduled, but I feel like I still did everything that I wanted to and that I planned, even if I didn't do it on the specific day or times that I had planned. That's okay. I'm trying not to pressure myself and feel like, oh, I have to like adhere to a schedule with this. I feel like the gods can be pretty forgiving and like lenient as far as those things are concerned. And as long as you end up doing the thing that you've promised or that you say you're going to do, as long as you hold up your end of the bargain at some point, it's okay. So yeah, I just wanted to leave you guys with that and take a moment to just sit down and like be forthright and realistic with you guys that I haven't always had the energy every day to do the specific things that I had planned after having to do like my adulting things every day. And that's just the way it is sometimes, and that's okay. So I'm gonna try to be forgiving and like hold grace for myself and not beat myself up about not doing everything exactly when I had planned or in the order that I had planned, because I'm still doing everything like within a week. It's only Saturday, and I still did all the little things on my list, and I'm still going to culminate with the big Freya offering devotional that I want to. So even though I didn't do it yesterday when I originally had it scheduled, that's okay, because I'm still going to hold up my end and come through for her and give her all of these things. So it's the thought that counts. Now, of course, me being the ADD creature that I am, even though I set everything out beforehand, before I started the ritual so I would have everything and not forget it, I had this hanging up here and totally forgot to use it, even though it's the thing I'm most proud of. I bought another bouquet of these little button daisies at the grocery store tonight when I got the berries. And just used a needle and some thread to make this garland because, like I said, you'll often see this done in Hindu worship ceremonies where the deity idols will be adorned with garlands. So I made a fresh flower garland for Freya. Last but not least, alright, there we go. It didn't want to stay very well, as you can see, but I did make it for her, so I wanted to make sure that I actually gave it to her. There you have it, guys. One thing that I really do like about this statue that I've noticed is that depending on the lighting and the angle that you look at it, her eyes will look open or closed. So it might have just been the lighting or my perception, but when I started the ritual, it looked like to me her eyes were closed, and then by the time I got to the end, it looked like her eyes were fully open, could see the pupils, the centers of the pupils were like glittering at me, and I could just tell that she was here, she was fully present, and she was looking right back at me. So I think this was definitely a success. Thank you for joining me for this week of Freya devotionals, and I hope that it helps to inspire and reignite your own practice as it has mine.